Good day, everyone. We are the Group 1, and today we will be discussing the maternal health program. So, let's start with Mr. Batenga.
In the Philippines, 3.4 million pregnancies occur every year. Half are unintended or unplanned, one third of which end in abortion. Government surveys regarding maternal, newborn, and child health nutrition in the Philippines. First is fertility trends. The current fertility rate, according to the National Demographic Health Survey, 2020 was 2.530 births per woman and a 0.98% decline from 2019.
For the maternal mortality trends, the mortality rate for 2017 was 121 and a 2.42 decline from 2016. For 2016, it was 124 and a 2.36 decline from 2015. For 2015, the mortality rate was 127 and a decline of 3.05 from 2014. And for 2014, the mortality rate was 131 and a 3.68 decline from 2013.
According to UNICEF, the leading direct causes of maternal deaths in the country are postpartum hemorrhage, hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, abortion-related complications, and obstructed labor, just like what is flashed in the PowerPoint.
For the infant and child mortality trends, the relationship of the mother's level of education to the health and well-being of her child is evident in that probability of dying among infants whose mother received no formal schooling with 79 deaths for 1,000 births is 2.5 times higher than that for infants whose mother has had some high school education with 31 deaths per 1,000. Lack of sufficient medical care before at the time of delivery can increase the risk of complications and infections that can cause serious illness for either the mother or the newborn. While most Filipino mothers, 86% receive prenatal care from a health professional, the proportion of recent births for which the mother received two or more tetanus toxoid vaccination during pregnancy declined from 42% in 1993 to 38%. Moreover, because of two-thirds of all births are delivered at home, only 56% of mothers receive assistance at delivery from a health professional. Despite these needed improvements, maternal mortality has remained low at approximately 200 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births.
So for the immunization in children, because of COVID-19 that made the majority of communities in the country under enhanced community quarantine, yung mga routine immunization services na delay at hindi natuloy kaya may possibility na maapektuhan yung 2 million children na below 2 years old na at risk and are most vulnerable to vaccine preventable disease.
Um, for number 5, nutritional status of infant and children. For the infants and toddler below 5 years old, sa underweight section, mas mataas yung percentage ng girls sa boys ng 0.1% lang. Sa overweight naman, mas mataas yung boys ng 0.7%. And lastly, sa stunted or impaired growth naman, mas mataas uli ang boys.
So for the childhood illness, the major causes of childhood mortality are severe acute respiratory illness or SARI, malaria, and dehydration from diarrhea. So for the SARI, there are total of 879 cases in children. This was in December 2018. So malaria naman is 126 cases, and for dehydration, which is 3,256 cases.
Facts on maternal and neonatal health in the Philippines. 160 women for every 100,000 births die. Roughly over 11 women die every day of pregnancy-related causes. Most of these deaths could have been avoided in a properly functioning healthcare delivery system. 7 out of 10 deaths occur at childbirth or within a day after delivery. 4 out of 10 deaths are due to complications and widespread infections. For every death, 40 more women get sick. 8 out of 10 births in rural areas are delivered outside a health facility.
Okay, next is the global mandate on CHN. Uh, Itong maternal health program, meron din connection sa MDG, which is the goal number 4 and 5, and they pertain to reducing under 5 mortality, meaning mga children below 5 years old, and reducing maternal mortality ratio. The global partnership with MNCHN, or Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health and Nutrition, is launched last 2005. It is composed of 280 governments, donors, NGOs, and healthcare professionals, academics, and multilateral agencies. And its mission is to support the global health community to work successfully towards achieving MDG number 4 and 5 by advocating for national, regional, and global political commitments by raising funds. So, what is maternal health program? Maternal health refers to the health of women during pregnancy, childbirth, and the postnatal period. This program ensures women and their babies to reach their full potential for health and well-being. This program also envisions that Filipino women have full access to health services to ensure safe pregnancy and delivery. Dito sa Philippines, it's called National Safe Motherhood Program by DOH.
Yung pong vision and mission statement nila, ang first is vision, guided by the Department of Health, Formula One plus trust and the universal healthcare frame. The National Safe Motherhood Program is committed to provide rational and responsive policy direction to its local government partners in the delivery of quality maternal and newborn health services with integrity and accountability using proven and innovative approaches. Next po is yung mission, for Filipino women to have full access to health services towards making their pregnancy and delivery safer. Yung pong first objectives na itong program na to is to collaborating with local government units in establishing sustainable, cost-effective approach of delivering health services that ensure access of disadvantaged women to acceptable and high-quality maternal and newborn health services and enable them to safely give birth in health facilities near their homes. Second is establishing core knowledge base and support systems that facilitate the delivery of quality maternal and newborn health services in the country.
So these are the three strategic changes in the design of safe motherhood services. Number one is shift in handling pregnant clients from risk approach to preparing all pregnant women for the complications of birth. This follows the rule that there is no such thing as low or high risk pregnant woman. Sinasabi rin neto na all women are considered at risk for pregnancy and childbirth complications. Thus, it brought the establishment of B-Monk and C-Monk network, and we will tackle more of this later. Second is improve the quality of family planning counseling and expanded service availability of postpartum family planning in hospitals and primary birthing centers. And lastly, the integration of cervical cancer, syphilis, hepatitis B, and HIV screening, among others, into the antenatal care protocol. Now let's discuss the related policies and laws regarding the maternal health program. The first law that we are going to talk about is Republic Act number 10354, or the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2002. This was signed by former President Benigno Aquino III on December 21, 2012. This is an act providing for a national policy on responsible parenthood and reproductive health. It also aims to empower the Filipino people, especially women and youth, through informed choice and age and development appropriate education. Yung law na ito nakafocus on three things. First is maternal, neonatal, child health and nutrition, family planning, and lastly about adolescent sexuality and reproductive health. So ano nga ba yung meaning ng responsible parenthood? Responsible parenthood pertains to the shared responsibility between parents to determine and achieve the desired number and timing of their children. The reproductive health naman implies that people are able to have a responsible, safe, consensual, and satisfying sex life, and that they have the capability to reproduce and the freedom to decide. The benefits of this law, una dito is provision of mobile health clinics in GIDA, meaning geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas.
Second is improves PhilHealth coverage of RH services. And lastly, ensured supply of RH commodities.
Through the RPH law, our country ensures that pregnant mothers, newborns, and children receive quality care so that pregnancy and childbirth can no longer be life-threatening events that can happen to women. Sa family planning naman, the RPH law gives couples and individuals the right to choose the timing, spacing, and the number of children they want to have or kung gusto ba nila magkaroon ng anak. And lastly, for the adolescent sexuality and reproductive health, RPRH law improves health and well-being of adolescents and young people by ensuring they have access to appropriate information, life skills, and services. Under din dito sa ASRH yung Republic Act 1116 or yung Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act of 2009. This talks about the country's policy on HIV and AIDS prevention, treatment care, and support. Also, binabaan na rin yung minimum age requirement para makapag-avail ng HIV testing and counseling without parents or guardians. So from 18 years old, pwede na rin siya sa 15 years old. And these are the 13 sexual reproductive health rights.
So the RA 11148 Kalusugan at Nutrition ng Magnanay Act, this was enacted into law last November 29, 2018. It aims to scale up the nutrition intervention programs in the first 1,000 days of a child's life to improve nutritional status and address the malnutrition of infants and young children below 2 years old, adolescent females, pregnant and lactating women to ensure growth and development of infants and young children. Kasama rin dito lahat ng services na kailangan for the first 1,000 days of life from prenatal checkups, immunization of pregnant and children, dietary supplementation programs for target groups, training of health and nutrition workers, and etc. The expanded maternity leave under RA number 11210 is an act increasing the maternity leave period to 105 days for female workers with pay and an option to extend for additional 30 days without pay. This also grants extension of 15 days for solo mothers and for other purposes. So the maternity leave period is counted in calendar days inclusive of Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. This is in consonance with the rule that maternity leave should be availed of in a continuous and uninterrupted manner. So the law took effect on March 11, 2019. Therefore, female workers covering those in the public and private sector, informal economy, or SSS members with voluntary contribution and female national athletes who underwent live childbirth, miscarriage, or emergency termination of pregnancy on March 11, 2019 onwards shall be entitled to the maternity leave benefits under RA number 11210.
Next law is RA 9710, also known as Magna Carta of Women. This was signed by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on August 15, 2009. This is a comprehensive women's human rights law that seeks to eliminate discrimination against women, recognizing, protecting, fulfilling, and promoting the rights of Filipino women. Kasama dito yung mga health services, health information, and education in a woman's life cycle, including maternal care, responsible, ethical, legal, and safe, effective methods of family planning, and pag-encourage sa kanila ng healthy lifestyle.
So, Newborn Screening Act of 2004, this law ensures that every baby born in the Philippines is offered the opportunity to undergo newborn screening in order to be spared from heritable conditions like phenylketonuria, maple syrup urine disease, galactosemia, congenital hypothyroidism, G6PD, and etc. that can lead to mental retardation and death if not detected and treated.
Next po is Administrative Order 2008-0029, implementing health reforms to rapidly reduce maternal and neonatal mortality. Next po is yung Department Order 2009-0084, guidelines governing the payment of training fees relative to the attendance of health workers to basic emergency obstetric and newborn care skills training course at duly designated training centers. Next po is yung Administrative Order 2011-0011, establishment of basic emergency, obstetric, and newborn care training centers in regional hospitals and medical centers. Next is Administrative Order 2015-0020, guidelines in the administration of life-saving drugs during maternal care emergencies by nurses and midwives in birthing centers. Next po is yung Administrative Order 2016-0035, guidelines on the provision of quality antenatal care in all birthing centers and health facilities providing maternity care services. Next po is Administrative Order 2018-0003, National Policy on the Prevention of Illegal and Unsafe Abortion and Management of Post-Abortion Complications.
So for the reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child adolescent health and nutrition core packages of services, this refers to a package of services for women, mothers, and children covering the spectrum of first, non-appropriate clinical case management services, including emergency obstetric and newborn care, and preventing direct causes of maternal and neonatal death. Second is known cost-effective public health measures capable of reducing exposure to and the severity of risk.
So now let's move on to the micronutrient supplementations. So micronutrient is available in small amount in the body. So for the malnutrition, we have vitamin A deficiency. So vitamin A deficiency is usually not given during the first trimester since it is teratogen and may lead to fetal deformities or even fetal demise. During second trimester, the recommended dose for vitamin A is 10,000 international unit, 1 cup 2 times a week, 4 months until delivery. For the postpartum woman, 200,000 international unit per cup, 1 capsule within 4 weeks after delivery. So for the postpartum woman, it helps to elevate vitamin A. Vitamin A helps to elevate concentration of the breast milk. So vitamin A deficiency can cause serophthalmia. Serophthalmia is the opacity of cornea leading to night blindness. Another is conjunctival cirrhosis. This is more common na nangyayari. This is dryness of the conjunctiva. So for the iron, the most common anemia is iron deficiency, especially sa mga woman, prone ang mga babae sa iron deficiency anemia due to the menstruation. For the pregnant woman, during pregnancy, kailangan of course ng mas maraming energy since nagadevelop ang baby. Therefore, iron is prescribed for woman for extra iron as well as during lactation. During pregnancy, iron supplement of 60 milligrams is prescribed together with folic acid since it also contributes to the functions of RBCs. So folic acid anemia deficiency is a risk factor for neural tube defect such as spina bifida and anencephaly. When taking iron supplement, it is best to take it with acid or vitamin C for better absorption. So in the community, especially dun sa mga yung mga may problem financially, pwede natin ipatake yung mga citrus such as calamansi juice, orange juice, and etc. For the iodine maintains normal function of the thyroid. So thyroid is a gland in the base of our neck. The thyroid regulates the hormones controlling your metabolism, heart rate, body temperature, and other core body functions. So getting enough iodine ensures that your baby develops a healthy and normal thyroid too. In rare cases where a fetus has underdeveloped thyroid, it can lead to negative effects like low IQ, developmental delays, deafness, impaired physical and developmental growth, and other problems. So iodine is also a key in lactation since you pass iodine on to your baby through your breast milk. That means the iodine you consume during pregnancy continues to support the baby's brain and thyroid development until she stops breastfeeding and fully transition to solids. So, dito sa iodine, dahil sa goiter endemic in uphill areas na establish yung RA8172 as in low or fidel salt fortification of iron deficiency. So, nag-isip sila ng food na pwedeng lagyan ng iodine. Originally, di ba, galing sa dagat ang iodine. So, ang naisip nila is yung staple food na pampalasa ng pagkain which is yung salt. Kaya meron na tayo ngayong iodized salt. So according to this law, it is a must that every salt being sold in the market is iodized. So dati para masiguro nila na iodized yung salt, nag-ikot sila sa mga market and itetest nila yung mga tinda sa palengke if iodized na, which is called the Patak Asin program. So noong December 1 to 5, 2003, meron silang pinatak na reagent sa asin. So para masabi nila na iodized yung salt, dapat maging color blue violet siya. So ang recommended na intake ng iodine is 200 milligram capsule per year. So for the antenatal care services, we have the 4 prenatal visits. So in the community, there should be at least 4 prenatal visits. It is very important na mayroong prenatal check-up ang pregnant woman dahil mahihirapan yung mga doctors and nurses na mapaanak yung mother kapag wala siyang hawak na any records. So yung mahihirapan din yung mga healthcare workers na ma-determine if yung mother meron ba siyang complications, kung dapat ba siyang manganak sa community or is it needed na i-refer na siya sa hospital. Kaya sobrang mahalaga yung prenatal check-up, especially if there is a complication para ma-address agad. So for the first visit should be done as soon as the pregnancy is suspected. For the second visit, there must be at least one check-up during second trimester. So yung second trimester, this is 4 to 6 months. Pero mas advisable pa rin yung monthly check-up. So itong 4 prenatal visits, this is done and suggested in the community, lalo na kapag malayo yung hospitals, walang OB sa area, and of course, to those people who are suffering financially. So for the third visit, at least merong 2 visits during third trimester. This is 7 to 9 month of pregnancy. So during third trimester, dapat mas madalas na yung check-up, especially kapag at risk with complications. For example, prior to pregnancy, merong hypertension, di ba mas prone sila sa mga preeclampsia, so it is really needed to have a frequent visits or check-up. So yung prenatal visit is composed of several activities. Isa dun is yung health history. So kailangan natin i-determine yung obstetric profile like getting the GT-PAL, expected date of confinement, age of gestation, and potential risk factors such as pregnant women's pregnant women ages below 18 years old and above 30 years old, height less than 145 cm or 49, multiparous woman, previous cesarean section, 3 consecutive miscarriage or stillborn baby, and postpartum hemorrhage. Also kasama rin yung mga may medical conditions such as TB, heart disease, diabetes, asthma, and goiter, and etc. So, yung responsible parenthood and provision of appropriate health package to women of reproductive age 18 to 35. So, ito yung sinasabi nila na ideal age of getting pregnant daw is 18 to 35. Next slide, please. So, dito naman sa tetanus toxoid immunization schedule for women. Obviously, this immunization is for tetanus disease caused by Clostridium tetani, a gram-positive bacteria usually found in organic matters, even in soils. So, yung bacteria na to is kahit saan daw siya nakikita, that's why yung mga ibang nasusugatan na na-expose sa lupa, binibigyan ng anti-tetano. So, tetanus is also a problem in delivery kasi pwede yung mga nagagamit natin sa community, for example, yung panggupit ng pusod or an equipment for episiotomy, pwedeng hindi sterile. So, in result, pwedeng magka-tetano for the baby and for the mother as well. Kaya it is important for the mother to have tetanus toxoid immunization. So, usually this is given for 0.5 ml intramuscular route, and yung site niya is right or left deltoid or buttocks. For the pregnant woman, usually ina-administer siya sa deltoid. So for the TT1, usually the moment na malaman ng mother na she is pregnant and the first time she visits her OB, doon agad binibigay yung TT1. So yun nga, as early as possible, dapat ibigay na yung TT1. Unfortunately, sa TT1, since this is the first exposure, it is considered as a foreign body. That's why the percentage of protection is 0%. So meaning, there's a high chance pa rin na pwede magkaroon ng tetanus yung pregnant woman. So for the TT2, this is the second immunization. So as a nurse, you need to educate the mother to go back after after a month. So after a month to nung TT1. So this time there is an 80% protection. So yung duration niya, infants born to the mother will be protected from neonatal tetanus. It gives 3 years protection for the mother from the tetanus. So the infant then is protected upon delivery. But sa mother, kapag hindi na nasundan, the protection will only last for 3 years. So for the TT3, the third immunization is scheduled 6 months later. The percentage of 90% protection, the duration, infants born to the mother will be protected from neonatal tetanus. It gives 5 years protection for the mother from the tetanus. So again, yung infants is protected pa rin sila upon delivery. But sa mother, kapag di nasundan, it will only last for 5 years. For the TT4, at least 1 year later. So there is 99% protection. Duration, it gives 10 years protection to the woman. As you can see in the slide, wala na yung about sa infant since during this time nakapanganak na yung mother. So for the TT5, at least 1 year later, also 99% protection, gives lifetime protection to the mother, and all infants born to that mother will be protected. Next slide, please.
So for the macronutrient supplementation, we have calcium supplementation. This is recommended for the prevention of eclampsia, lalo na sa mga pregnant women who are at risk for developing hypertension. Next.
Next is yung pong PhilHealth Insurance Corporation enrollment. This is a major source of financing health services, including maternal care and newborn package for normal deliveries and newborn screening package. Kasama po dito yung first cycle ng oral contraceptives. Kasama rin po yung first dose of injectable contraceptives postpartum. And yun din pong first dose ng BCG para sa infant. Next.
So now let's move on to the strategic trust. So under the maternal health programs of DOH is the strategic trust. So these are the strategies of the Department of Health in order to provide care on pregnant women's health. The first one is the BMONC. BMONC is Basic Emergency Maternal Obstetrics and Neonatal Care. So dapat yung mga nag-a-assist or mga nanganganak ay merong BMONC. It serves as a training for those sa mga training siya sa mga nagpapaanak. So, tuturuan lahat ng nagpapaanak about basic emergency maternal obstetrics and neonatal care. So, in BMONC, there is a word na emergency, meaning if you are going to assist in a delivery or magpapaanak, you need to be prepared about the possible na mangyari during pregnancy and delivery. So in BMONC, it entails the establishment of facilities that provide emergency obstetrics care for every 125,000 which are located strategically, meaning the staff in healthcare facilities in the community are trained about emergency obstetric care. At least for every 125,000 population, tapos dapat yung lugar na ma-avail nila tong services na to ay malapit lang or within the community. The strategy calls for families and communities to plan for childbirth and upgrading of technical capabilities of local health providers. This is why prenatal checkup is important in order to have a plan during delivery. At the same time, para mapaghandaan din ng mother because there are some cases na hindi pala nila alam na kabuanan na pala nila kasi nagkamali sila ng computation sa kanilang expected date of delivery or confinement. So, BMONC signal functions. So these are the skills that we need to know or be knowledgeable if we already undergone BMONC training. The first one is the parental administration of oxytocin in the third stage of labor. As we all know, oxytocin is being administered to augment contractions, usually given at the third stage of labor to deliver the placenta. Next is parenteral administration of loading doses of anticonvulsant. So this is usually given to patients with eclampsia kasi pwedeng mag-seizure ang patients na merong eclampsia. Next is the parenteral administration of initial dose of antibiotics. So this is administered to pregnant women who has infections. The fourth one is assisted delivery during imminent breech delivery. During breech delivery, yung mga OB usually yung nagpapaanak sa pregnant woman, then as a nurse tayo nag-a-assist. This kind of cases, pwede na naman siya ma-deliver normally, kaya lang it requires skills, kaya under siya ng emergency care. Next is manual removal of placenta and removal of retained placental products. As a nurse, we need to be well trained in delivering the placenta normally and manually. It can cause complications kasi if there are parts of placenta na naiwan sa uterus and can cause more bleeding. Next is intravenous fluid administration, blood volume expander, and or blood transfusion. We also need to be ready and well trained doing IV and blood transfusion. One cause because hemorrhage is one of maternal isa siya sa mga cause ng maternal mortality. Next is antenatal corticosteroids. These medications are given to all pregnant women who are at risk for preterm delivery or has a hemorrhage, hypertension, and preterm rupture of membranes. Two corticosteroids are given, betamethasone 12 milligrams intramuscularly every 24 hours for 2 doses of dexamethasone 6 milligrams intramuscularly every 12 hours for 4 doses. And lastly is the newborn resuscitation with oxygen support. Next slide, please.
Wait lang, i-restart ulit natin kasi mag-aano na ata 40 minutes.
Sige, sige.
Tapos mag-continue ka na dun sa Simok.
Okay.
Okay, wait lang.
Game na.
Game again.
Okay, go.
Na. So now let's move on to CMONC, Comprehensive Emergency Maternal and Obstetric and Neonatal Care. So CMONC is more advanced than BMONC. So the skills we need to be knowledgeable are signal functions under BMONC plus number 1, operative delivery of the C-section. As a nurse, dapat prepared tayo mag-assist in C-section. And also, we need to be ready for blood transfusion. So, sa center, dapat meron tayo laging naka-ready na mga blood for emergency purposes. And advanced life support management for low birth weight, premature, and sick newborn like sepsis, asphyxia, severe birth trauma, jaundice, and etc. So for the laboratory examination or laboratory test, in the community, especially if there is no equipment that can be used, we are going to do Benedict's test and acetic acid test in order to determine complications. So first is Benedict's test. So this test is used in determining the sugar in the urine and also a test for diabetes. So yung procedure niya is pour 1 ml of urine in a test tube, tapos i-heat. Then after that, add 2 ml of Benedict solution, then water bath in boiling water for 3 minutes. So sa result niya, kapag yung result is blue or nag-remain siya as blue, negative to sugar. If green, +1, meron siyang low trace of sugar. If yellow, meron siyang moderate trace of sugar, +2. Kapag brick red, yun yung positive for diabetes, +4, or gestational diabetes. So next, sa acetic acid test, this test is for determining albumin or protein in the urine. Normally, walang protein sa urine. So, if the pregnant woman has a of um, positive result, it indicates pregnancy-induced hypertension. So, sa procedure, pour one urine, pour urine in a test tube, 2 to 2/3 drops. I mean 2/3 ng test tube. Then ihiheat. After that, add 1% of acetic acid or 3 for 3 drops. So, ihiit lang yung distal portion. So, yung result, kapag clear lang or ganun pa rin yung color, negative siya sa protein, and kapag cloudy, positive sa protein. Next slide, please.
So for the postpartum services, unang-una dito yung postpartum visit. Dapat yung first visit niya is within 24 hours after delivery dapat, and yung second visit niya is within 1 week after delivery. For this visit, kailangan i-assess yung breast for engorgement or kung inverted ba yung nipples, yung uterus naman kung contracted, bladder and bowel, tapos yung lochia, and yung episiotomy, and human sign kung may calf pain ba and deep vein thrombosis, and emotion, which is yung taking in, taking hold, and letting go.
Um, Next is yung micronutrient supplementation. Una dito is yung vitamin A, 200,000 international unit per capsule. Usual tinitake ko ng 1 capsule within 4 weeks of delivery. Next is yung folate and iron and folate. 60 milligram or 400 microgram per tablet. Usually tinitake ko ng 1 tablet for 3 months or 90 days. Next po.
So for the birth and newborn services, first is the Republic Act 8980, or the Early Childhood Care Development. This refers to the full range of health, nutrition, education, and social services programs that provide for the holistic needs of young children from birth to 6 years. This also talks about their right to survival, development, and special needs and protection.
So, let's move on to breastfeeding. So, as a nurse, we need to educate and prepare the mother for breastfeeding during pregnancy as early as the first prenatal checkup. Yung breastfeeding kasi, it is considered to be the best food, especially for the first 6 months, since it contains essential nutrients completely suitable for the infant's needs. It is nature's first immunization, enabling the infant to fight potential serious infection. It contains growth factors that enhance the maturation of the infant's organ system. Next slide. So the benefits of breastfeeding for the child, breast milk contains antibodies that helps to eliminate possible diseases. It is rich in immunoglobulin A and white blood cells that helps the baby to be protected against the infection. It also prevents diarrhea due to reduced risk for contamination and also due to antibody content. Pero syempre kailangan pa din linisin yung breast ng mother kahit na mas mababa yung chance na magkaroon ng contamination. Breast milk also protects the child from chronic conditions such as allergy, asthma, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. So, marami ring studies na nag-prove that breastfed do better on cognitive and motor development. So, for the mother, uh, yung benefits niya sa mother is nagpapromote siya ng release of oxytocin that keeps the uterus contracted. Thus, it prevents postpartum hemorrhage. It also helps in return of pre-pregnancy weight, also delays in return of fertility, lowers the risk of premenopausal breast and ovarian cancer, and promotes early uterine development.
So for the breastfeeding practices, number one is exclusive breastfeeding, meaning the infant receives breast milk only. No other liquids or solids are given kahit na water. Ang pwede lang ay oral rehydration solution or drops or syrups of vitamins, minerals, or medicines. Second is predominant breastfeeding. This refers to breast milk used as predominant source of nourishment. Included na dito yung water and other water-based drinks, fruit juice, and medicines. Next is complementary breastfeeding. This refers to breast milk use along with any food or liquid, including non-human milk and formula. And lastly, early initiation of breastfeeding. Ito yung pag-promote ng breastfeeding as soon as the baby is born. It also ensures that the infant receives the colostrum or the first milk, which is rich in protective factors. Meron din itong different health benefits like increase the ability to defend infections, reduce the risk of diarrhea, and increase the survival rate of children.
Um, Next is the breastfeeding techniques. First is the cradle hold or paduyan or pahele, cross cradle hold, then the football hold or salom kip kip, and the side lying hold or pahigang nakatagilid. Next.
So for the
So,
breast milk storage, the room temperature can last for 8 hours. Sa refrigerator's body naman for a day. And when you store it sa freezer, it can last for a month. And if the chest freezer, can last for 1 year.
so for the laws and policies on breastfeeding, first we have Republic Act 10028, Expanded Breastfeeding Promotion Act of 2009. So this law provides for the necessary support services to enable breastfeeding mothers to combine family obligations with work responsibilities. The law provides for the establishment of lactation stations in workplaces, provision of breastfeeding breaks for working breastfeeding mothers, establishment of human milk banks in health institution, inclusion of breastfeeding in curriculum of schools, and declaring August of each year as a breastfeeding awareness month. For Republic Act 7600, Rooming In and Breastfeeding Act of 1992, this law aims to create an environment where basic physical, emotional, and psychological needs of mothers and infants are fulfilled after birth through the practice of rooming in and breastfeeding. Health institutions must provide facilities for rooming in and expenses incurred by the health facility. In this regard, shall be deductible expenses for income tax purposes. So next is Executive Order 51 or the National Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes, breast milk supplements, and other related products, penalizing violation thereof and for other purposes, or also known as Milk Code. It aims to promote, protect, and support breastfeeding through intensified dissemination of information on breastfeeding and regulation of advertising, marketing, and distribution of breast milk substitutes and other related products, including bottles and teats. Lastly is the Administrative Order 2005-0014 for National Policies on Infant and Child Feeding. The policy provides the guidelines for improving the survival of infants and young children by improving their nutritional status, growth and development through optimal feeding anchored on exclusive breastfeeding, early initiation within 1 hour after birth, provision of timely, adequate, and safe complementary foods at 6 months while continuing breastfeeding up to 2 years and beyond. The AO is supported by the National Plan of Action of 4 IYCF.
And that concludes our report for maternal health program. We are the Group 1 BCN, Luzon, Cortez, Batenga, and Gonzales Thank you for listening.